the volume. Turn up the volume. You've arrived at the destination for all things Kentucky. This is the Bleed Blue Network Podcast.
What's going on, Big Blue Nation? Welcome back to the Bleed Blue Network podcast. I apologize. I've already been laughing. We probably should have just let this record, this little pregame conversation we've been having. Kyndall's not starting the show again, by the way. Just thought I can throw her under the bus for there.
You know, soon. I'm excited for some upcoming ones too. So I'll start it off.
She's not excited for mine.
Oh, man.
Now we're just really taking
Oh, man. You know, he has the moves like Jager, too, over here.
You know, I could bring out a piece of information in case y'all didn't know. His actual name is not actually Jager.
She's going to throw you under the bus right off the bat.
Yeah, my actual name is Camden. My middle name is Jager, or most people say Jager, or because I spell it with one G, not two. So everybody says Jager, and they're like, well, Mick Jagger's two G's. I think it's two G's at least. And they're like, so why don't you spell it with two G's? I'm like, I didn't. This is a parent question, not a me question.
Don't ask why my parents did something so stupid, all right?
I didn't do it.
They messed me up for life.
Yeah.
So when you were talking about this, when you said you had substitute teachers would come in, tell that story.
Yeah, so every time in school, I remember substitute teachers, everybody would be all happy, and I would kind of just be because I'm a little quieter, especially back in high school. So I knew there was going to be a whole dissertation about, well, they would say Camden, and then everybody who hadn't heard it before would be like, what, your name's Camden? No, it's Jager. I'm like, no, it's my first name's Camden. And then I'd be like, I actually go by Jager. And then they'd be like, Jager. And I'm like, I just said Jager. What do you mean? They're like, well, it's spelled Jager. I'm like, okay. Once again, I didn't spell it. I just.
Do you ever have that moment where it's like Aaron?
yeah. It makes me feel like that every time.
D nice. Yeah. D nice.
That's me.
Just
I feel that pain.
Why do you feel that pain?
Kyndall with a Y, Sobolski, that starts with a C.
So
people will be like, Kyndall. Sometimes they think I'm a boy. And sometimes they're like,
I don't know how they confused you with a boy, but you know.
The name, a substitute.
I feel like there might be a weird story in high school of how she looked, and now this is going to be Camden over here is like, haha, bitch.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, God. Let's get back on track. We have your Jager Burton with us. What's up, man? Thanks
What's up? How you all?
I just glad you just dove right in. and I told you, I tell everybody, hey, this is not going to be like any other show you've ever done. Just let you know, shit's probably going to get weird. It's totally fine. Man, how's it going? And how's it feel to be right on the cusp of another season?
It feels good. Camp's always great. I'm really busy, but
I feel like there was a lot of sarcasm in that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot, but at the end of the day, it's what everybody on the team loves to do it, or they wouldn't be here. So it's
right.
I'm looking forward to it. Just feels like it's been forever since we've actually got to play football. And the lifting and stuff does get a little repetitive because it's just every day. A lot of the same things because that's what it takes to get stronger and faster and all that stuff. So I'm excited to actually get to play football.
You're just ready to hit somebody.
Yeah. It's been a while.
Sounds like Cutter, but at least I know he's going to hit somebody.
Yeah.
Cutter's literally, I asked Cutter what position on the field he would play if he was not a quarterback, and he didn't even flinch. He said D-line. Yep. And we were like, oh, okay. He's like, wait a minute, do I get to change my physique? And we're like, yeah, that's fine. He's like, yeah, D-line, I want to hit me. He's ready to clock someone.
That has to be the second least common answer you've probably ever got to that question.
As someone who plays against SEC D-line, how much of that life does he not actually want?
0%. Absolutely 0%. He doesn't even get hit in practice. If you put two fingers on him, you get yelled at. So
3 and you get kicked off the team.
Yeah.
So obviously you're coming in here. You're a seasoned veteran now of the team. There's been a lot of talk about obviously the offensive line and Coach Wolford coming back and everything. What's kind of a big difference that you've seen just from last year to this year, and in either the confidence of the unit or just kind of the overall kind of mindset of you guys going into the season?
Yeah, I think something that we haven't had a lot, especially since I've been here, is just retention of starters. You always have guys going in and out, whether it's transferring or depth pieces that would start the next year transferring, and guys coming in, obviously, to fill those slots. So to have, 3 guys coming back that started last year and played a lot of snaps, me, Marcus, and Eli, I mean, it just gives you such a leg up when it comes to like the, just whole group being able to work together at faster speeds and, being able to rely on those guys, and then kind of bringing, Dylan's back too, and then having a few transfer guys that are going to get a lot of snaps. It's nice to, feel like we have more than 5 guys who can play, at the level it requires to be a really good unit in the SEC.
Yeah, you guys did bring in a couple, guys that also have contributed in the SEC, onto that O-line. Has that made it a little bit easier for you guys to gel? Because I think it's different if you bring in a guy from, and this is no offense to anybody, but you bring in somebody who maybe didn't play in the SEC. And obviously you got brought in guys that not only play in the SEC, but in the SEC East, so there's familiarity there. Has that really helped with you guys kind of gelling and being able to, make this a cohesive unit? I'd
say 100%, yeah. Like, Mincy played a lot at Tennessee, and obviously Tennessee's a good school. They play good football. Hurts me to say that, but
everybody is cringing.
Yeah. I don't even. He said that, but his face. If you could have seen the face there, that would have been brilliant.
But yeah, having a guy that's played, snaps at same conference, they know how it is. You don't have to explain. When sometimes people come in, you got to explain to them like, well, this is how we do it, and wherever, I don't want to give.
You see that guy on that side in that jersey? He is big, fast, and mean. Just let you know. Yes. Just be prepared to have your shoulder ripped out.
Yeah, but it is nice, especially just to know that someone, kind of already understands that. It gives you a leg up. I mean, it's something that you don't have to worry about, and he knows what he's doing, and obviously he wouldn't be playing in the conference if he hasn't.
Right. Yeah.
So it's really nice to have a guy that you can already trust just coming in.
What does your week to week look like? So you walk off the field on Saturday. Between then and when you walk back on that next Saturday, how does that look for you? Recovering, preparing for the next game, all the things.
I would say, this is actually interesting because whenever I first started playing, like I was like in my head, there's some guys that just don't have to do any treatment. Like they'll play Saturday, and Tuesday when we're in full pads, they're ready to go. In my head, I was like, yeah, man, I'm one of those guys. I never had to do anything in high school. And I got to week 3, and I was like, man, I feel like I can barely walk until about Thursday. So, I'd say now I kind of got a whole rhythm down.
This shit's not high school, man.
Yeah. Come in and, cold tub, contrast tub, and then if anything's hurting, get some treatment, massage, stuff like that Sunday. And then Monday, we're like a helmet practice, so it's kind of just like a run through, get your legs back underneath you, and sometimes the O-line will get a lift after that, just as a group, like a quick little pump. And then Tuesday, you really got to be ready to go by Tuesday. Tuesday and Wednesday are like our work days, so we're getting after it Tuesday, Wednesday, then Thursday kind of ramping back down, focusing on the mental side. But other than that, like, it's just weird thinking about that because right now my schedule is so different, especially before camp. I mean, we lift early and then we kind of have the rest of the day. So, like O-line will lift all together and then we're all straight from the lift to golf course.
Right.
So it's weird just like kind of getting my mind back. I think we had Friday off and then today off. So it's kind of, a chance to really get your mind back in that mind frame of, okay, now it's time to, get back into the frame and, do something special this year. So
how much lifting do you guys actually do during the season? Obviously you've got the grind and everything, but you can't lose a lot of weight or, by the time you get to game 6, you're going to get thrown around like ragdoll. So how much like lifting does that kind of entail?
As much as you can. I think early season, it's really important to try to 3 or 4. But once you get into how it was in past years, it's a little different this year with the new schedule changes and stuff like that. But where we had
we have 2 bye weeks this year. You think that's going to help?
Oh yeah, 100%. Okay. And just with the way our schedule is weighted, like normally we're always like back heavy schedule weighted.
Yes. Yeah.
So those first few weeks, like you can really lift a lot, which is what we normally do. But once you get in the middle of the season, it's especially O-line, it's like your hands, like that's really the main thing everybody talks about is like just your hands are swollen or you can't hold a bar. So you have to find all these weird ways to like try to keep your strength and like doing body weight, like push-ups, stuff like that. But I'll be interested to see. I think the 2 bye weeks will really help this year because obviously those bye weeks are where you really try to gain back all your strength that, you're just going to lose. That's why you have to be super strong because you really have to be double what you need to be because you're probably going to be half by the end of the season.
That's That's a thing that you guys that people don't really think about is how much the grind that you guys take on the line, especially, I mean, you got big guys playing really big guys. What's kind of the biggest difference on the offensive side of the ball, obviously from last year to this year with Hamden coming in, putting in, a new offense from your perspective?
I would say, especially at least up front, would just be clarity. I feel like, pro style offense is great. Coach Combs is great. All those guys are great, but it's just different. Like whenever you see like a more like college system, it's a lot more simplified just in terms of like one word can be used multiple times, but it means the same thing for a bunch of different position groups. Like, you know what I mean? Like if we have one tag word, instead of having 6 tag words, we can just have one tag word that means this for the running backs, but this for the O-line. So you can tag it, on every play, and it changes things a little bit. So it's really nice. I feel like, especially O-line wise, everybody, knows what they're doing. Like, 95, 100% of the time right now, which is really good going into camp. Normally camps where you kind of get that. So it's really nice to just, it's one less thing you have to worry about. You know what I mean? There's so much things, like it's hard enough to block SEC D linemen as is. But whenever you are having to think constantly sometimes, or, you have like forget things, it helps just making that a little bit easier, especially as the season goes on.
Obviously you have a new offensive line coach, which is an old offensive line coach for the for most of Kentucky. Has that really kind of changed kind of the perspective of how you guys are making it more simplistic? Is it an offensive coordinator and offensive line kind of coach both, or how does that kind of look?
I would say 100%. One thing about Coach Wolf is we always say this, and we kind of mess around about it, but he really is always going to stand up for his room. He's going to fight with whatever and make sure it's as easy and simplified for us so we can go out and play free and fast. So, he's a guy you really want in your corner. You definitely don't want him in a corner, someone you're going against, and he's going to make you work, But I think it definitely is a combination of the two because, you have that peace of mind knowing that, he's going to make it as good for our group and our room as possible. Obviously not to affect any other rooms, but it's just nice to know you have a guy like that in your corner.
Yeah.
Do you have
There's
one
the
goal?
Siren.
Yeah, the siren we were talking about. Yeah. Do you have one goal coming from last year leading into this year that you kind of want to go after or accomplish for yourself, but also for the team?
Yeah, I would just say, I feel like mine's always been the same every year, and it kind of sounds cliche and maybe be a boring answer, but win as many games as we possibly can as a team, be the best team we can be. Sometimes at points when I've been here, we haven't been the best team we can be, and everybody knows that. People on the team will tell you the same thing. And I think really what it comes down to, winning football games in college football is about maximizing your potential as a team at the end of the day, which again might sound a little boring, but that's truly what it's about.
Yeah.
You want everybody, we're obviously uber talented, probably the most talented team I've had since we've been here. But if everybody's not playing up to their peak of talent level, it doesn't really matter. So I would say that's the goal for, me, including the team. Because I'm obviously guilty of that sometimes too. I don't play up to, my standard of how I want to play, just like everybody else doesn't. But we all just need to, play our best and be our best as a team.
Obviously, you've blocked for some decent running backs over your time. Talk to me a little bit about those guys and how you feel that they kind of stack up compared to what you've played in front of over there in years past.
Yeah, we've been really blessed as a group. C-Rod and Ray. It doesn't really get much better than that.
Decent.
I tell this story all the time, and I've never told it before, but I remember, I forget who we were playing. It may not even been an SEC team, but I remember like my first year playing when C-Rod was here, just like the noises you would hear people make, like you would hear him hit a hole behind you, and like the noises you would hear where it's like these loud smacking and linebackers like groaning or, like just don't, like you could just tell like third quarter, you're like, oh, they don't want to hit this guy.
No.
Yeah.
And Ray was the same way. Ray's smaller than C-Rod, but he was the same way.
Like a bowling ball.
Yeah, he would just get underneath people. And then whenever he would make, people would be so frustrated and try to go kill him. And there's like, oh, spin move. Like that Louisville clip where he spins. Like,
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're going to try to kill me now? All right, I'll see you later. But C-Rod used to make dudes like cry. He would hit him so hard. I'm telling you, like teams on linebackers on other teams, I'm just like, This guy's a dog.
Jager's just looking at him going,
Made our job a lot easier. I mean, so did Ray.
I'm coming to get you, boy.
Yeah, it was funny too. Like Florida game, we were watching film from last year, and there would be like a play where an O-lineman like missed assignment or something, and then it's like, oh, but Ray still scored. It's like, oh, you're supposed to make one dude miss, Ray's making 3 dudes miss.
Yeah.
So it's always nice to have a guy like that, and makes us look a lot better at points. You know what I mean? It's nice to know that it doesn't always have to be perfect. You have a running back like that, they can always break one.
Okay, yeah, how does the you got Chip and Demi now kind of back there, off and some really talented freshmen as well. It seems like it's a deep room. You've played in front of them obviously a little bit in spring ball. How do you feel like kind of we stack up compared to what we've seen in years past?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we have 2 or 3 of the guys like we normally do. You know what I mean? Chip's just been. I mean,
Chip's big as you are.
Yeah, he's ginormous. But there's not a lot of guys that come in and instantly, can like pull a locker room around them and know like, okay, this guy's a leader. Like I can trust this guy to do what he has to do. And Chip did that. I mean, I'm talking 2 weeks in. I mean, everybody was like, this dude's real deal. I mean, same with Demi. When Demi came in last year, I mean, he came in even later, and everybody was like, all right, this guy's like, we can trust this guy on Saturdays. Like, I'm not worried if I see Demi come in the game. Like, you know what I mean? So having guys like that, and those guys are holding that room to such a high standard, which is why you have freshmen like balling out in spring ball. So it's like, it's really cool to see, and it helps, leaders in our room know like, that's what you have. Like, you got to hold guys to this standard, and it brings those younger guys along, and just makes your room better as a whole. Because if the younger guys are better, it's going to increase competition, and competition just makes everyone better. So that's really what it's all about. And we've learned a lot from Chip in the O-line room, and the whole team has, and same with Demi. So I'm really, really, really pumped to get to block for those guys.
So on game day, do you feel like you feed off of a lot of the atmosphere in not only Kroger, but also if we go somewhere? Do you kind of feed off that, or really drown it out and very focused?
I think you have to feed off it. I mean, like, especially away games, like you can't just go in there and try to, I mean, there's places you can't, you can't tune out some stadiums. It's just not going to happen. I mean, some people might say they do, but I mean, especially offensively, defensively, it might be a little different because they're quiet when they're on the field, but you can't, I mean, you got to prepare for it. And that's why we play like noise at practice and, kind of prepare for that through the whole week. And then at home, obviously, it's easy to feed off that energy. I mean, especially like once you get off the bus and you hit that catwalk, it's like, all right, you're locked in, you're ready to go once you get in the facility. So the fans really do make a humongous difference. I mean, like games, especially like, I mean, Florida, my freshman year, I mean, we've had games crazy even recently than that, but that's just one sticks out because, when you're on the sideline, you get to take it in a little bit more. So my first year when I redshirted and they rushed the field, like I was like, I mean, the amount of difference they made in that game just kind of opened your eyes to, home field advantage is a real thing.
Oh, for sure.
When you're kind of talking about that from like the road perspective, obviously this isn't your first, rodeo. You're going into some places that you've experienced before. How much does that help, knowing that you can kind of what to expect versus going somewhere that maybe you've, obviously no one's ever played at Texas. You guys have played, at Ole Miss recently. You guys have played obviously at the Orange School as well. What is it like kind of knowing where you're going, what you're walking into versus, kind of an unknown opponent's home stadium?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely helps. I remember, my first SEC start was at Florida. And I just remember like I was...
Shocker, we probably won that game.
Yeah, we did. But it's just, like I said earlier, it's kind of just like another thing to think about. Like, especially when you've never actually been on the field doing it. I mean, like this, you would think, and I might be completely wrong, but this is just how it feels. But when you're on the sideline, like it's loud, but when you're on the field, it's so much louder, which like you're obviously closer to one side. But
sure.
I guess
Everything's kind of converging.
But having like played and knowing what to expect in those environments, and it'll help so much. I remember my first year at Florida, I was just asking like Eli, all the other guys playing, I was like, man, what is this like? And he was like, man, I haven't been there yet either. I haven't played it.
Like, why are you asking me for?
I was like,
don't put this shit on me.
Like, well, we'll all just learn together then. And we kind of just ride around and, won that game. But it was
no big deal. Just won it. It's fine. Just when I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, but we won.
Yeah, no, it's awesome though. Like, I feel like going back to some places for the second time, this will be my first year doing that. And, having the peace of mind of knowing what it's already going to be like, it's just one less thing to worry about. So I'm excited to get to see some of those awesome, environments again and, get some wins there. So
as a Lexington kid, obviously playing for a Lexington school, you could see this disdain talking about Tennessee, which was totally fine. I was here for it. What's kind of like from your perspective, what's been your favorite non-playing memory of Kentucky, before you put on the jersey that you remember?
I would have to say the year they broke the streak at the Swamp. I mean, I wasn't there, but me and my family used to go to all the bowl games and everything too. So the Citrus Bowl, the first Citrus Bowl was
Cash doing the Stone Cold Steve Austin at the end of the game with the water bottles was pretty cool, right? Like
the first Citrus Bowl was awesome too. When the Penn State ran the fake punt, Stoops is out in the field yelling across the other sideline.
I was there.
Yeah, I was there too. It was awesome. I would say one of those 2 games is definitely the coolest, and just I also in 2020 when they beat Tennessee right after Coach Slaughter passed.
Yeah, that
was awesome.
Beat down was epic.
Yeah,
that was great. The funniest thing I remember about that season was Cash sitting eating a chicken sandwich, telling about the guy that they whipped his ass because he was talking shit. It was the greatest, I think, interview I've ever seen of just someone nonchalantly talking the fact that he was talking shit, so we kicked their ass. And I was like, what? I think it was Mississippi State, or I think it was that game that Benny went for. I think it was like 4 TDs. I think Benny went for 4 TDs. We won 28-7 in torrential. It was raining like crazy, but that was a funny moment from that season. That was a fun team overall. You've been on, you've been on some teams obviously that we had some higher expectations than what we actually saw. But talk to me a little bit about this team. Everyone's talking about it being the most talented. You've been here for a long time. You've watched Kentucky football for a long time. You can answer this from the fan perspective and the player perspective. How does this team stack up in your opinion from teams we've had in the past? Yeah, like I said earlier, I feel like this is. I can only really speak for when I was here, but most talented team that I've been around as a whole in every room. I mean, tight end room, you got so much depth. We talked about it earlier, the running back room. I mean, receivers, I don't even have to talk about the receivers. Everybody knows that. I don't think we have any wide receivers on this team.
And then even when you get to we have so many safeties, like Ty, Lovett, Zion. Like those are 3 guys that can start anywhere. They're all
mean.
Yeah, they come down and smack. I'm telling you, I love watching those guys. It gives me old school safety vibes. But yeah, I mean, even, Brock coming in and the leader he is, the leader Chip is, those guys on offense. Clip. Yeah, That's awesome, though.
So what we're hearing is everybody on the team needs a phone clip.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Dude, I'm telling you, it would be the funniest thing in the world if you catwalked all the offensive linemen right behind Brock, all wearing a phone clip too. Just get the quarterbacks to do it, and he would just probably be shaking his head watching it. It would be the fun. It's got to be the thing for this season. We need the thing, right?
Yeah.
So when game day comes in, all the guys wear the clips. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's the surefire way to know that we're gonna be good. We just have a thing.
I feel like Brock's the type of dude too. He's so used to seeing people with phone clips. He probably wouldn't even notice.
Do you think Brock actually sees people with phone clips? Let's be honest. Who does he see with a phone clip?
I'm sure when he goes back home.
I've seen his pictures of his dad. His dad don't have a phone clip. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen his sister with one. I mean, now maybe I don't know. I think it's a Brock thing. I think he's just an old soul.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been to Georgia. You've been to Athens. It's not necessarily Atlanta. Did you see a lot of phone clips?
I wasn't even worried about the phone clips.
Listen, have you seen Georgia play? I was not worried about what Joe Schmuck in the stadium was wearing. That dude was really big, and he was trying to kill my quarterback. I don't know what you want me to say. Yeah. So 2 quick questions before we let you go. Kyndall's this is the question now she's asking everybody. But so if you were not playing football and an offensive lineman, what would you be doing?
Oh, God. I really would love to say I'd be playing professional golf, but I'm just not that good. Not even close. I'm trying to think. Can I say that I devoted all the time I've spent on football on something else?
Yes. Yeah. What something else? Maybe when you were a kid, you were like, I really would love to do this, and even if it sounds crazy, right?
I used to want to be, and I always had no idea of, what the industry was like. A professional water skier.
Okay.
Because I grew up on the lake, and I was skiing when I was 3.
Whoa.
Wow. What lake?
Harrington.
Okay.
My parents live on Harrington, so Garrett County. But I used to. So my neighbor, my parents' neighbor at the lake, won a bunch of state tournaments and a bunch of medals and stuff water skiing. So he taught me and my brother when we were little, and And water skiing, like if you ever water skied, there's a wedge. So you like get almost like if you've played the popcorn game or trampoline.
Yeah.
But they tie your skis together when you're young, so they don't, you don't do the splits or anything.
Right.
And they were telling me like just stay in the wedge and you'll get up. So the first I've been trying for like 2 weeks trying to get up, and I finally got up, and I was like 4, and I'm just sitting the whole way down the lake. I'm still in the wedge while I'm up. Like I never stood up. I was just sitting in the wedge all the way down the lake. But that's what I mean, every morning when I was from like then until literally I was doing it in high school still, we'd wake up like at like 7 a.m., go on the boat and water ski. So that's what I wanted to do for a long time. And then I kind of realized, I don't know how you would even go about that.
Yeah, just do it, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I don't know how you go about being an offensive lineman either, besides get really big and like to hit people. So, I
didn't play. I only started playing O-line my sophomore year of high school. I was playing receiver and running back. So,
and then you hit a growth spurt.
Yeah. I was so distraught whenever they told me I was moving. Like, I was like, oh, this is going to suck. Like, this is going to be no fun. Like, you go from like scoring and, catching touchdowns, and you're like, oh, this is going to suck. And then I was,
Then 2 years later, you're looking at look at these offers.
This is the best thing ever.
This isn't bad. And I don't have to diet all the time. Yeah, this is great.
Yeah, no doubt.
Okay, to close this off, we'll ask the question we've been asking everybody. So, who on the team would you never let date your sister?
Caddis.
I told you, this is why I'm so excited.
That wasn't even thought.
No.
Instant.
Yeah, no. Really, honestly, if you want like the full no one.
That's
all right, don't give me. We're not going to give a J-Rob answer.
Yeah.
J-Rob was like just stone
he was
cold,
like,
just nobody.
Yeah, but if I had to choose one, probably Caddis. Which nothing against Caddis, but
He's
like,
winning
obviously
this.
there's something.
He's winning this by a mile. By
really,
the way,
what are the
my
other
God.
answers? Is there anyone else?
Almost everyone is Caddis.
Has there been any other people?
Max and Barryon, one each. Everybody else is Caddis.
Yeah. Those are two good answers too, probably.
Brock kicked it off, was like absolutely without a doubt Josh Caddis.
Yeah, which is crazy because they're like best friends. Almost makes it worse.
Dingle threw him under the bus too. It's fine. Yeah, it's like Josh Caddis. No, I can't. Man, I'm telling you, when he shows up, we're gonna have the best show with him. It's gonna be great. Oh man, dude, we really appreciate you taking time out to chat with us. Good luck this season. We'll be there rooting you on, and hopefully we can see a lot of wins.
Sounds good. Appreciate you guys.
Yep, thanks.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Bleed Blue Network podcast. We hope you enjoyed diving deep into the world of Kentucky sports with us. Don't forget to stay connected by following us on Twitter at BleedBNation. Your feedback means the world to us. So take a moment to leave a review. Not only does it help us improve, but it also helps others discover the show. Until next time, keep cheering, keep listening, and keep bleeding blue.